Maybe I'm crazy, maybe I'm not.
All right, I'm very excited to have my friend Sophie Julia on the Maybe I'm Crazy podcast today. Sophie and I go way back to Miami days, and we joke all the time that everyone thinks in media that all the women don't get along, when in fact we all secretly really get along. And we just get together and talk about whatever it is we talk about. I don't know what the deal is, why people think that we're always fighting with each other. We're really not. But we are genuinely friends. And you have a new podcast, which I want to talk to you about. I'm very excited about it. First of all, welcome. Thanks for coming in.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here. I was like bragging to security. I'm like, yeah, I'm here for Joy Taylor. Like she's on the billboard outside. I felt so cool. And by the way, you're saying, yeah, everyone's friends. You and I are that way. Like I love everybody, but you are truly, and I didn't just like come on here to pump your tires, but I have to say, the most supportive girl in the industry. Like truly, no matter what I get into, it could be something so insignificant or it could be something, even an interview. She's like here to help, pumping my tires, posting it on her story. Like you just are, you're the best.
Thanks, babe. I appreciate that. I just want to see everybody win, you know? There's enough space for all of us.
Well, you know what? You're winning. So like it's okay when your friends are winning too. Like I think it might be hard for some people if they're not doing well and their friends are getting ahead of them, but you and I don't care about that.
Well, no, I also had a lot of people in the business when I was coming up help me out, and that's just, you know, I think you should pay it forward. But I also genuinely believe, like, you know, there's enough room in the business for everybody who does everything. And I just, you know, I don't like fighting with people. You know, I am a very ferocious person, and it's not a place I like to go. So I just like would so much rather be happy.
I hope I never see your ferocious side towards me. That's all.
No. You won't. It rarely comes out.
But the business is also different now because, like, when you and I were coming up, you had to get a spot that was open.
Right.
Like this network has to have an opening and you go in there. Now you can create anything from the ground up. You can start your own stuff. You can be on YouTube. You can do a podcast, and you just have to like keep going. Like
you have to hustle.
Yeah.
That's really what the business is. And I talk about it a lot with people that are coming up, and to their credit, a lot of people take that advice, which is just start creating your own thing, because it's really about reps. Like that's the biggest part of this business, because that's what's going to make you better. It's just ironically like sports. Like the harder you practice and the harder you work and the more you refine your craft and put your full effort into what it is you're doing, the better you're going to be. And it's the same way with this industry. Obviously it's rough and it's the entertainment industry and someone's got to take a chance on you and all of that, but all the work that you do is going to lead to that eventually, because people are going to see how talented you are when you put yourself out there. So that said, you have a new podcast.
I do.
You had a podcast for a long time.
Yeah, but that was me just trying to do something like on my own.
Right. But that led to this, because those
correct.
reps made you able to do this podcast and come in with a resume. And it's called the Home Team Podcast.
Yeah.
It's on Action Park Media.
Yeah.
I've listened to it. It's great.
Thank you.
I love your logo. It's adorable.
You know who made that? Hannah Ostapchuk.
Did she? Hi, Hannah.
Hi, Hannah.
I love Hannah.
I have a dear friend who's amazing at graphic design. And
I didn't know that.
yeah,
Look
she
at
put it
you.
together for me, and I was like,
I know Hannah from Miami too. Hannah's a superstar. You should follow her. She's gorgeous.
Great.
Has she ever taken a bad picture in her life?
It's so unfair.
It is not real. It's actually very
But
unfair.
I feel the same about you. I'm like, keep the camera out of my face.
I'm taking lots of bad pictures.
No.
I don't post bad pictures. I don't think Hannah can take a bad picture.
It's so annoying.
It is. I love her, but yes, that does bother me about you, Hannah. Okay, so love the graphic. Tell us a little bit about the podcast for those who haven't heard about it.
Okay, so how it came about is, if you've ever watched Entourage, which I'm sure a lot of you have, Kevin Connolly, who played E,
Right.
he and I were at a wedding together. It was actually a hockey wedding. Do you know Sydney Asizen? Matt
do know
Martin.
Sydney
Yeah,
Asizen.
Matt Martin's on the Islanders, and
I also don't think she can take a bad picture.
she is flawless.
And her wedding looked amazing.
Yeah, I all my friends are like way too pretty. It's like, why did I do this? Why are all my friends so beautiful?
I
It's
listened to that episode.
Yeah, it's true though. I would never like get insecure about having pretty friends. I'm like, go be hot. I love showing you off. So Kevin and I were at the wedding together. Him and I became friends. Actually, it's a funny story how we became friends. I didn't say this on my podcast. I was a single girl at the wedding,
Right.
and most of the hockey people are married or together. And I was at like a singles table, kind of, there were some couples there, but I swear to God, and I don't say this in a braggy way because I found it really embarrassing. Like, I was sitting there, and I'm not kidding, like every 20 minutes, there'd be a new single hockey guy who would sit down and be like, and just like try to start conversation. And Kevin was watching and just dying laughing because I was just like staring into the distance, like, like kind of not paying attention. They were like 19. I'm not kidding. Oh. Yeah, they were so young. So I'm just sitting there like, oh, thank you. And Kevin came over and he was like, this is the funniest shit I've ever seen in my life. And I was like, yes. We kind of like hung out a little. And then he went home and listened to my podcast. And he asked me to go get a drink one night. And he was like, I have to tell you, like, I'm starting this company. It's called Action Park Media. And I'm going to do podcasts, and then we're eventually going to get into video. And he was like, I have an idea for a podcast for you. He's like, a lot of your guests on your old podcast were wives and girlfriends of athletes. And it wasn't on purpose. It was just some of my friends who have interesting stories. And he's like, what if you did a podcast just about wives and girlfriends of athletes? That's your wheelhouse. It's who you know. It's who you're friends with. And I was like, you know what? I looked online. I looked in the podcast app. There are a million podcasts, and there's not one that focuses on just like wags. So we went for it. At first, it wasn't easy. I was reaching out. He was like, we need a big name. So I'm reaching out to like people that I don't even know, like people with 1 million followers, and being like, hey, and no one was answering me. We didn't even have an example. Like Action Park hadn't even started yet. So it took a minute to get off the ground. And then once we got started, now it's just like, you know, you change every week, you learn how to do it easier. And like, I've sort of just became the editor because I'm like, no, I know how I want it. So I just end up editing it myself. But everyone's amazing. And I have a co-host, Narod, who
I love Narod also.
She's awesome. Narod.
We'll just keep saying names until I find someone I don't like.
Yes, not possible. So Narod, it was Kevin Connolly's old assistant, like personal assistant. And then when he started this company, he was like, all right, I want you to run the company. She's so good. She's so organized. And she's tough. Like, she will get on people. And when I came in to talk about the podcast, her and I just started like chit-chatting. We were talking about dating and all this funny stuff. And I was like, this is good content. I'm like, can we talk about this on the podcast? He's like, you can do whatever you want. So Nara's my co-host.
She's great.
Oh, she's awesome.
The Girl Talk is actually, I mean, you're a great interviewer.
Thank you.
So the interviews are amazing. But I do love the Girl Talk.
I
think it's funny because I can picture like a man listening to the Girl Talk and just being amazed at what you guys are talking about. I often wonder what kind, like how many brains would explode if men got into our group chat.
Exactly.
Like, T and I talk about like girl stuff that men cannot relate to all the time. And at least like once every 2 to 3 weeks, we'll say something that will just explode the entire podcast. And like, it just like everyone's like, can't even believe what's happening. So I love that part of it. It's really fun.
Thank you. So that's the feedback we're getting is like these interviews are great. And there's definitely a certain audience that loves hearing the stories, how these girls met their husbands and all of that. And I love interviewing them because all the girls are amazing. And I think it's interesting, but it's a little girly. Like that's what girls want to listen to. The guys are hanging on our every word in the beginning of this podcast. Like, so what I realized, like my whole audience is guys. Like I used to work for Barstool, so I got majority of my followers from Barstool, which are young dudes, and they don't give a shit about these girly, interviews.
Yeah.
So we were like, we need to start like doing the beginning, talking about stuff that girls are like, yes, and guys are like, oh my God, like taking notes. So like last week we talked about texting turn-ons and turn-offs.
Oh,
yeah, and
where do I begin?
Oh yeah, and it actually, this episode was the most listened to because I tweeted and I was like, heads up, boys, there's a texting tip in this episode that is like hands down the hottest move you can make. And I highly recommend you tune in.
What is it?
So we were saying.
Still listen to her podcast, but what is it?
Still listen because we have more. The turnoffs were good. Like we had a bunch of those. I'm sure you can relate. But I said, if you're at a group dinner, say there's like 6 people, 8 people, there's a bunch of couples or whatever. And the guy texts you secretly from across the table being like, you look amazing. Or just say.
Strong.
That's a move.
Strong.
That's a move. Something just secretive and sweet, or something that you just look down at your phone and you're like.
You're not expecting to see it. Mm-hmm. It's not corny. Mm-hmm. You look amazing is probably the strongest compliment you can get. Because like beautiful can get kind of weird.
Right.
Like gorgeous is like, okay, like do I look gorgeous tonight? Do I don't know, maybe. Amazing is great though.
Amazing is a statement word.
Yes.
And it's also when someone's saying it around other people, but like secretly just to you.
Yes.
And then we were saying,
Oh, that's so good.
so good. And then we were saying we can expand it to a party where if you're all at a party and we were like, say the girls are all like talking in the living room and the guys are like out on the balcony, like taking shots, whatever. And the guy just texts you like, miss you, or like, can't wait to be alone with you later. Something cute like that. And we were like, that is a move.
It is a strong move.
So-
Because it takes 2.5 seconds to do.
Yeah.
But it shows that you're thinking about you.
Yeah.
You're thinking about me.
So hopefully some guys start
Really
doing that
good.
because
So these are the kind of gems you can get on Home Team Podcast.
Yeah.
Which I love. I can't remember. I'm trying to remember which. Because you were talking about texting.
What, was it the first episode where we
was the
talked
first
about?
episode.
Oh, we talked about getting a text on Christmas.
Oh yes, holiday texting. Yes.
I was like, if a guy doesn't text you on Christmas, then he doesn't fucking like you.
Yes, he doesn't.
Because
He doesn't.
it is.
It's like the entire movie if he's just not that into you. I'm like, I could have explained this entire movie in 3 seconds.
Yep.
It's effort. Period. There you go.
Exactly. Effort, and it's Christmas. It is so easy. Girls text each other. I
Yes.
think you text me
People-
Merry Christmas. Like, it's so easy. It doesn't have to show that you like them too much. It's just like, hey, I'm thinking of you. on
I
a
don't
holiday.
even care if I get mass text on Christmas. Like
Same.
it's just a nice gesture that you're thinking of someone. I don't even mind getting texts from people I don't like on Christmas.
Yeah.
I might not respond, but I'm like, okay, 1% like you more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
So if
agree.
you don't text on Christmas, you don't care.
It's like add me to the list. Add me to the mass list. I don't care. Just like show that you care. If a guy is talking to you and ignores you on a holiday or your birthday,
You already know I don't play none of that shit, okay? You got 3.2 seconds to respond or you're off the list.
Joy's standards for texting
Are
are like
way too
through the
high.
roof. Like you better text me every single day.
They're not every day.
Every hour.
No, I mean like if you go a whole day without texting me, I there's no chance I'm talking to you.
Dead.
Like,
Oh my
like
God.
I'll speak to you again, obviously, but like what? We're hanging out?
I love you. That is so
No
funny.
way.
Busiest,
There's no
busiest
way.
human on the planet, but yet still you better text her ass
It
all
takes
day.
3 seconds.
I know, it's true.
It's effort.
I know.
You know, I'm not saying you have to like talk to me all day.
Right.
I can't talk to you all day. I'm busy. I'm interviewing Sophie. But you're not gonna go 24 hours without. If we are talking, we're
Right.
involved with each other.
You agree.
A whole day. You agree?
I'm different. Like
You are very lax with the texting.
should I ramp it up a bit?
Probably, yeah.
Raise my standards a little higher?
Here's the thing. Phone calls are a different situation. Like we're of the generation now where like if we talk on the phone, we're basically married. So and like FaceTime is a whole nother level,
Yeah.
right?
Oh, I think phone calls are more serious than FaceTime. 'Cause
I agree.
FaceTime is like you're chilling, you're drinking, you're like, oh, what's up? Phone call, it's like, what do you have to say to me? Like, what are you calling for?
I have a horrific habit, which I absolutely must break, and it's caused me a lot of trauma. I have begun FaceTiming people while extremely intoxicated.
Oh, yeah.
It's such a liability. I've woken up several mornings as of recent, like, oh my God. Oh my God. And then I've talked to them. Like they've answered them. I have no memory of what I've talked about. It's a disaster. I'm sweating.
Joy,
it's a disaster.
It's my favorite hobby. We talked about it on the texting podcast because we talked about drunk texting, and then I was like, Naro, do you drunk text? She's like, no, not anymore, and I don't either. But she was like, I drunk FaceTime. I'm like, same. She goes, I get home at 3 a.m. and I FaceTime guys. I'm like, after party at my place, and they're like, oh right, who's there? And she's like, just me, but I have a bottle of wine. And she's like, they're like, oh, so this is a party? Like, what are you doing? And my way of drunk FaceTiming is I like to do it before I go out. Once I'm out, I'm distracted. I will like sit in front of my computer with a solo cup and just drink and FaceTime, just go down the list of every guy that I want to talk to. And I'd say one of them out of 10 will pick up.
But you are moderately intoxicated at this point.
Yeah, no, I don't black out FaceTime anymore.
Yeah. So the blackout FaceTime is not
Dangerous.
Is not cool.
Well, the
So
scary part
drunk
is not
texting-
remembering.
Right. So drunk texting, I can be like, yeah, I didn't mean any of that shit. Sorry. Like I was drunk. I'm sorry. Like that. But I can read it and be like, yeah, that wasn't me. Like, but I can account for that. But when you hear it out of someone's face, like they don't know how many drinks I've had. Like I might be meaning what I say and I don't remember. And then you can't ask like, so what did I say last night?
Right.
Can't
I don't
do
remember
that.
anything. They're like, you degenerate. Wait, so do you
Well,
delete?
everyone knows I'm a degenerate.
Do you delete your texts before, like, if you drunk text, would you delete them before you wake up so you don't have to face them, or will you reread it?
Oh no, I must face. Yeah, you delete
You delete it? I used to delete it.
I don't want that evidence there. I don't want to see it. And I pray that they delete it too.
They don't delete it.
They don't delete it.
I have to face.
I think the guys waking up being like, "Oh, let me delete this," because I feel for her.
I need to face my shame. So I don't delete. Okay, so this is a picture of me FaceTiming. Jordan's bachelorette.
Oh my God! I wish you could pull this up on the podcast. This is.
I can't decide if it's a good idea or
She's
not.
laying on the floor.
It's not a great. So it's just like 1 centimeter from showing too much, which is probably why I can't post it.
No, you probably can't post it.
I'm
but
literally laying on the floor. I mean, I'm going to show T.
Who are you FaceTiming?
That's not important. But that is that an amazing picture?
Amazing.
Like that's visual evidence that I have a problem. I'm laying on the floor of the hotel, the Fontainebleau, which, by the way, never lay on the floor of a hotel room. It's disgusting.
Ugh.
I'm laying on the floor in the dress that I wore out with my heels still on after I have just housed a giant hamburger with raw onions, and I'm laying on the floor like this, like trying to FaceTime someone, which is just yeah. So okay. That's what we talk about on Sophie's podcast.
Yeah. So guys start listening. They're like, girls are like this. Like, oh my God.
We are like this.
They love it. They love it.
We are like this. So you started in Miami. You started with at least when I met you, you were with the Florida Panthers.
Yes.
Right.
So I actually worked for Fox Sports. I was working for Fox Sports Florida, and I was not important there. No. I'm going to take that back. I was important. I was a PA. So I was important to the show, but I was young and I was just out of college, and that was my first job. So I was working as a PA, and while I was there, I got a job as the arena host and the reporter for the Florida Panthers. And I loved hockey. I grew up in a hockey family. So it was like the coolest job on earth to me. And me and Joy were Twitter friends. And she goes to a game and saw me on the Jumbotron and DM'd me. And she was like, I'm here to game. I'm in section whatever. I'm like, yes. I run down. I was so excited to meet her. I was like, oh my God, she's the prettiest person I've ever seen in real life. Literally, truly my first thought. And you were like a big deal on the radio. You were Zaslow and Joy show.
So this was when I was doing morning radio in Miami with the Zaslow and Joy show. And
yeah,
it was very nice to meet you. I was excited. I'm always excited when there's new women in the business, especially in the Miami markets. A big market, but not that big, especially for sports. So.
Miami had a great crew. Some of the
did.
girls, they're still my best friends. Kimmy Borzaheno, Stopchuck, Joy. Like the girls that all worked in sports down in Miami together, we're all dispersed now, but we're all still friends.
Yeah, and
Joy
they're still. I'm
together.
like obviously still cool with Amber, who does the show with Zaslow now, and Kristen
love
Hewitt is
Amber.
still with Fox Sports and
I know
Sun
Kristen.
Sports and
I interned for Bob when I was in college. Her husband.
Really?
Yep. At the Heat. I worked for the Heat for like 2.5 years.
I didn't know you interned for the Heat.
Oh yeah. Ted, he was my boss. Bernard was my boss.
Wow.
And Jax was my mentor.
Jason Jackson. Hello, Jason.
Hello, Jason.
Yeah, so it's Miami's a fun little sports family, and the Heat are finally competitive again.
Oh, they are?
Yeah, it's well, at home, on the road. We just lost to the Cavs last night in overtime. I'm very upset about it. They can't lose to the Cavs. It's not
I feel
acceptable.
bad. I stopped watching basketball after I was working in basketball.
Yeah, that's no. I stopped. I protested the NBA for like a year after Michael Jordan retired, and then I got back into it. Me and half the globe. Obviously, his ratings went down 50% after Michael. Speaking of Michael, you watched the Kobe Memorial.
Oh, I did.
Piece of the Kobe Memorial. It was really heavy. Obviously, super necessary. And you were in Miami when the accident happened, right? Were you already there?
I was in Philly about to fly to Miami. We were texting. You were like, the mood is...
Yeah, it was the most intense experience of my career. The closest that I felt to that, and it was really just not in comparison because of obviously the magnitude of Kobe, was when Jose Fernandez, the Marlins pitcher,
that was awful.
Died, which was obviously a massive tragedy for the city of Miami. But Michael, of everything there was two things that stuck out with me about the memorial, obviously other than Vanessa Bryant, which we'll talk about in a second. Michael Jordan being as vulnerable as he was, because he's always so like stoic and serious and the GOAT, for him to be up there crying like that and to talk like that about Kobe, I thought was crazy. And I also thought, and I didn't notice this until this morning when I was talking about Sabrina from Oregon setting the NCAA Division I record. It was half NBA guys and half WNBA people. Gino Auriemma, who's not WNBA, but girls basketball, Sabrina, and Diana Taurasi. And then you had Rob Pelinka, Michael Jordan, and Shaq. And I thought that was so representative of what Kobe was towards the latter half of his career. And then obviously into retirement, he's so supportive of women's sports, particularly women's basketball,
100%.
because of Gigi. But also he had a great relationship with Lisa Leslie and was always at WNBA games. And I love that is now going to continue with a lot of the guys. Not that a lot of the NBA guys don't support the WNBA, but Kobe took it to a real genuine level supporting women's sports. And I thought that was I thought that showed in the fact that those are the speakers that they chose to eulogize Kobe and Gianna. But what did you think of Vanessa Bryant?
Blown away. First of all, getting up there and public speaking in front of the entire Staples Center, I would never have been able to do that. One, after what she went through and the magnitude of what she's talking about, and she held it together, and her speech was incredible. And I was completely blown away by her. She is incredibly strong. And I think that was what hit me the hardest with the whole Kobe thing, is all I kept thinking about was Vanessa. And I was like, and the daughter, like the oldest daughter who knew what was going on. And, the other two are babies. But I was just thinking, like, some people lose their husbands and it's horrific, but you have to stay strong for your kids. But how do you stay strong when you lose your child? Like that, you fall apart. So it's like, and then she has 3 other kids that she has to stay strong for. She is, I can't even imagine. And she was so strong yesterday.
Yeah, she was unbelievable, actually. And I'm sure it's taken a process and everything to be able to get up there and feel like she was capable of doing that. But it sounds like a cliche thing, but like God only gives you what you can handle.
Yeah. And
she's just an incredibly strong person. Like that. And that's what's I think hits everyone the most is that, and Colin was talking about it earlier on the show today. There's nothing I can think of or ever remember that compares to this, the magnitude of this. The only thing I can remember ever being like a moment like this being stuck on was Muhammad Ali's funeral. But it was such a different experience because Muhammad Ali lived a full life. It wasn't
Right.
Obviously it's a tragedy to lose a figure like that, but he didn't die in a tragic fashion at a young age with his daughter to the point where we're all in shock. And Kobe felt like an invincible figure. He's
Correct.
literally the last person anyone would ever imagine this would happen to because he just felt so invincible.
You thought it was fake. I saw it on TMZ and I was like, no. I didn't even for a second like get rattled because I was like, no.
No,
There's no way.
Our producer sent it to me, and I was like, I think they got hacked because I kept trying to click on the link and it wouldn't load. I was like, yeah, it's just, that's really shitty that someone would hack and do that. That was my thought. Like people were texting me like, oh my God, did you hear about Kobe? I'm like, yeah, I don't think it's real.
And then it just got worse and worse and worse over the day, and I was like, I was in a state of shock all day. I was crying. I couldn't function, and I felt guilty getting on a plane to go party in Miami the next day. But everyone got down there, and it was you were sad, and it's still sad. I can't watch or read or see a photo of Kobe without like stopping and thinking about it. It's not like I'm not scrolling through my feed and I'm like, oh, like it's Kobe again. Like you literally stop and you're like, oh my God. But it's really changed people. I think everyone's like, life is short. Tell the people you love them. Like just it really put a lot of things into perspective.
I can tell you with absolute personal conviction and from personal experience that there have been situations since Kobe's passing that like relationships that have been mended in my personal life because of the reaction to just how emotional and just visceral everyone's reaction to what happened was.
Yeah.
And imagining what Vanessa and their family is going through from it. So absolutely. I do think that's like, those are there's no positive from it, but I will say that he's had such an effect that people are just a little bit different. I don't know if I want to say nicer, but they're looking at the world a little bit differently. Like, okay, maybe this particular beef or problem I have doesn't really matter that much, and I'm putting too much energy into this, and like literally, it's a blessing to make it home every day.
Yep.
And yeah, so I agree with you there.
Yeah.
Okay, so segue into something,
Totally different.
Yeah, just something different.
Okay.
So you and I actually, when did you move to LA?
2.5, a
little bit after me, right?
Yeah, almost 2.5 years ago.
Okay, so I've been here for 4 years.
I was just visiting while you were here. Remember, I would visit and stay with Peyton.
Yes.
Yeah, and we'd all hang out.
Hi, Peyton.
Hi, Peyton.
Oh, we're just gonna keep doing that. It's gonna be so annoying.
Everyone better watch now.
I know, we gotta get everyone on. I'll give you a shout out. You gotta watch. You are more of a dater than I am.
No, I'm barely doing it.
My struggle with dating is I don't like hanging out with people I moderately like.
Well, yeah, that's why I stopped.
That's what dating is like. So I'm like, being single, I'm like, oh, so yeah, I don't know if I like you enough to hang out with you.
No, it's so hard for me to go on a first date. I have not been on many. I'm acting like, oh, I'm going on all these first dates. Like, no. I am very rarely going on a first date, and I dread it so much that I think that's why I end up liking it, because I think it's going to be the worst thing that ever happened to me, and it turns out not to be torture. And if they're hot and tall and it's not a terrible time, I'm like, wow, that was great. Better than I expected. And then you go on the second date and you get to know each other. I'm like, does this guy have a job? I'm like, oh no. Then I'm like, wait. Oh, like you start to just like see all these things about them that
you don't ask them on the first date if they have a job?
I do, but then you start to really like dig deep. You know, everyone can like have a job in LA, and then you just dig a little deeper and you're like, that's not a real job. And like, you know, you just, I
But
think.
you're a Capricorn though.
Yeah. I just like a certain type of guy, and I think that kind of guy I like is few and far between in LA, but I guess what I have to keep doing is, it's a numbers game and you just got to keep going. But like, I just want to date someone I already know. Like, I don't want to get to know someone new. Do you know how long that takes?
It takes a long time.
Just like want someone from my past to get their shit together. Just like come back around, be a different person, and then I'm good.
I love that concept.
What do you think about dating in LA?
I think it's the same. It's hard to. I'm a comfort person, you know what I mean? So I'm actually shouldn't say that. I'm a connection person. So like I'm not, you know me, I can't fake anything. I just can't. I try and it just doesn't work. If I'm sad, it's just gonna be sad day. If I'm upset, or angry, it's gonna be irritated joy day. Like I just can't. I'm not that I'm moody, but like I cannot hide my true emotion. I can change my emotion throughout the day, but I can't hide it.
Wait, can we talk about this, because we're talking about dating and like going on dates? Have you watched Love is Blind?
Okay, yeah. Thank you for reminding me. That is what I wanted to ask you about. Okay, so I'm watching You right now, which I think you should watch. It's really not scary.
I told her I'm too scared.
It's not scary because he's not creepy. Like
right.
If he was like Dexter or like Christian Bale in American Psycho, like he's cute, but like it's not someone you would like allow to stalk you, if that makes sense. Okay. So the show is just watchable and it's not scary. It is going off the rails now, like it's crazy, but it's like crazy good. It's not scary.
Okay.
But so you're watching Love is Blind. Mm-hmm. Okay, my friend just told me about this show. He was like, you've got to watch it. People are freaking out. It's crazy. So explain the show, because I'm going to start watching this show because everyone's losing their mind over it. I saw it in your stories last night and you were like, I got to stop watching the show.
I was literally like, I'm cringing. My whole body is cringing.
Why is it cringe?
Okay, so I started watching it because people were talking about it on their stories. So I started putting it on mine, and now everyone's like, I started watching it because of your stories. I can't stop. The premise in the beginning, and it keeps changing. They are in a pod, like a room like this that has couches and a bar, and you sit and chill and you curl up with a blanket and they drink a glass of wine, and there's someone on the other side of a screen and they cannot see them. They can't even see an outline of the person. And they go on dates for like a week or something there's a group of guys living in a house together and a group of girls living in a house together. And they just all go in these pods all day and go on different dates and form connections. And then the way you can meet the person face to face is if they propose. So they form these bonds where they actually think they are like in love with these people. They have conversations with them all day, and they're like, they propose without seeing each other. Then they do a reveal. They see each other. If they are physically attracted to each other, then they go on vacation in Mexico. And then they go on vacation in Mexico and all the couples are together. But these girls have dated some of the guys through the screen and vice versa. And then they move them, the couples that don't break up there move into an apartment complex all together, and they have to live together, and then they are integrated into the real world with their phones and their families and their friends, and see if they can survive outside of, it's basically like they are so sickly obsessed with each other when it's just the screen and they have nothing else going on and their phones are taken away. And it's like The Bachelor. It's like you're just zoned in on what you know, and then they come out of there, and the more stuff that is integrated, the more these relationships are just being like pulled apart. And these people are so weird, obviously, because they are proposing to each other through a screen,
Right.
after knowing each other for a week. But it's like a train wreck that you can't stop watching. And
I gotta watch it.
It's so, I don't know who came up with this. It's such an interesting concept, but I'm so hooked. I'm not even done. And then I think they're releasing a new episode or a new batch of episodes on Thursday. So I need to like get it done before Thursday. And it's so good.
I'm gonna watch it. So it's on my list because I have to watch Narcos.
And you have to watch
Mexico
Cheer.
season 2.
Cheers.
Cheer.
Oh,
All right. So Jeremy has one intense input per podcast. That was Jeremy.
Cheer is fire.
Cheer is fire.
It's so good.
Check out Cheer.
Have you,
John, doesn't he do this every week?
It's like, bro, you're a camera person. You can't just yell in the middle of the show.
no, I love it.
He always does.
I love it. He backed up my point. I think, you know why? It's important coming from a guy, because you say cheer and people think they're about to just watch a cheerleading show. And I was like, to my brother, I was like, I promise you, did you watch Last Chance U? It is Last Chance U. It's the same producer. And then they do it with this community college cheer team, but their backgrounds and their stories are what makes it. And you fall in love with the entire squad. And I don't know how it could get better than this season. Like, are they going to do it again? It can't possibly be that good.
Jeremy says no. I'm gonna check that out too.
It's
So I
so
have to
good.
watch. I have to finish you. I have an episode and a half left, so I'm gonna try and watch that tonight before the Pelicans Lakers game, and then I have to watch Narcos because Colin has binged it before me.
Do you have
And
any
that's
flights
good.
coming up?
Not this weekend. Next weekend I have to go back to Miami. So
Yeah,
maybe
so the
I could
best
do
time to watch this stuff is on a
on a
flight.
flight. Yeah, just download all of them.
binge.
Great. I'm so glad you reminded me of that because I meant to ask you about that. Well, thank you so much for coming on with us.
you.
It was
This was so
great.
fun.
I hope you guys enjoyed it. Make sure you check out her podcast, Home Team Podcast. Who do you have on your next episode?
So, I don't know if you know about Mercury in retrograde, or you think I'm crazy.
No, I don't. I'm very careful this time of the year. Anytime this is going on.
Yeah. So you know about it.
Don't cut your hair. Yeah.
Yeah, you don't do anything crazy, but things basically like there's all these issues, and in Action Park there have been 6 guests on 6 different shows that have canceled this week, including mine. So now the episode was pushed from Wednesday to Friday. My interview's coming Thursday. I'm like going to be rushing, but I'm having on another hockey wife, and then there's a bunch of quarterbacks in the NFL. Josh Allen, Kyle Allen. Yeah,
Kyle,
both of them
yes,
with the same
with
last
the
name.
Panthers, yeah.
Yeah. And then there's a tight end, Nick Vanette, and all their girlfriends I'm friends with, and they are all living down in Newport Beach. So I'm going to go do
awesome.
a Newport trip, interview all these girls. We're having a bunch of people on.
Cool.
So it'll be fun.
Well, make sure you go and subscribe, and
Thank
you can
you.
follow Sophie on social media at Sophie Julia. Oh, one more thing before we get out of here.
Ooh.
So people ask me all the time how to deal with trolls. And I mean, I get crazy trolls, but for the most part, like, I'm busy. So I don't, I got stuff to do. And
I have the time.
yeah, basically, unless it's, I have the time, which every once in a while I do. Like last week, I went crazy about this reclining seat nonsense in the airplane. Just nonsense, recline your seat. But every once in a while, I'll take time. But you get some pretty ridiculous trolls.
Yeah.
Or at least you highlight them.
Yeah.
But because like we were talking about hair before we started recording, and you had some guy say something about your roots, which I mean,
He was like, you broke bish.
Yeah, he said you broke, bitch. Get your
Get your roots done. And I was like, do you even know the process? You have to wait 4 weeks. I came in here at the worst possible time, by the way, to go on camera because I'm getting it done in 2 days. But I was like, dude, I spend so much money every 4 weeks. Like, give me a minute.
notices that.
My followers notice everything.
They really do. You get some crazy ones though. I mean, I get some crazy ones, but like sometimes I'll reach I'm like, who, what? They'll be like, oh, you have one pinky finger that's a different color than the rest of your fingers.
Yeah. People are obsessed with my toes, which like I hate feet people. So I'm like, leave my feet alone.
You shouldn't say that. There's so many feet people.
Love you feet people. I know there are.
Do you have a wiki feet?
A what?
Do you have a wiki feet?
No, I stay away from the foot thing.
No. I don't participate in foot stuff. I'm not interested in foot stuff at all. Oh, you probably do have a wiki feet.
I don't even want to know.
A wiki
what that
feet is a celebrity foot page. So any pictures like that you've ever posted of your feet are documented for. It's like a Instagram for feets.
Nope. I'm not about that.
There's actually multiple ones. There's like wiki feet. There's like celebrity foot.
I get really.
Don't you feel grateful that that's not your thing? Sometimes it's like, oh man, thank God that's not my thing.
I will
no parts of that.
It is so.
No disrespect. I love all my feet people. I know there's so many
feet
of you
people
out
are
there.
humans too.
I love you. I just, that's not.
You know how you can.
saying?
You know how you can tell if someone's a foot person. Because I've had guys I'm talking to saying this. Like,
I've had foot people. Yeah.
Guys being like, oh, I think the sexiest thing about someone is like pretty feet, and I'm like, why do you care? You're a foot fetish person, aren't you? Like that's my first. My like antennas go up.
So
I'm like,
I have many
pretty
talents.
feet mean something to you?
Yeah, that's absolutely 100%. Why would you say that?
Right.
There's so many other things you could compliment before that. I have a really good fetish radar.
Oh, you do?
Yeah. Like if I want to find out what kind of whatever your weird thing is, I can get to the bottom of it very quickly. It's an unfortunate skill because it usually ends badly for me. But yeah,
that's so
foot
funny.
people, I got love for you, but no thanks.
I will warm up to you because Joy told me
you should
to.
be more accepted because I'm telling you, there's a lot of them.
I know. I want everyone to like me on here, so I love you, foot people.
There's a whole nation of foot people.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming on, Sophie.
Thanks
we love
for having
you.
me.
Make sure
This
you
was so
follow her
fun.
at SOPHIE JULIA and download her podcast, Home Team, and check out Action Park Media too. They have a lot of great podcasts on there. Thanks so much for coming on, babe.
Thank you.